The late adopter. Hi guys, welcome to a very eventful Bitcoin video today. We're gonna talk about what's happening in Ukraine, Russia, and stuff like that, right? The FUD is becoming more and more real. But as you can see here on the chart of Bitcoin right now, we are still falling in this expanding wedge on the downside, holding this bottom support as champions. So technically we are still fine. We are down by something like 5% today, but it could have been worse. If you go and look at the Russian stock market index, it's down by 50% today or something like that. Let's see down here, it was down 42%. I think it was actually 48%. I don't know where it actually opened, but it was down pretty much extremely on the downside. Now this is to be expected, of course, when stuff like this happens. You can see here, this is the stock market of the Moscow stock market. A big dump on downside, but they are kind of used to these big dumps, so I don't think that's the biggest problem right now. Now there is still going on a lot of FUD about stock markets crashing and stuff like that, but we've known that stock markets are going to crash for a long time, and they have been technically crashing for a long time. You can see here on the daily time frame, even the weekly time frame, down here, that right now it is going in free fall on the downside. This is the S&P 500 futures, and right now it's down by 2.5% or something like that. So technically it is crashing big time. But we already knew that this is gonna go towards the downside, so this is not a very big oh my god, stock market is crashing or something like that. We already called tops here at 47.40. We had a small move towards the upside, but we already knew that these kind of things needs to correct on the downside, and this is what's happening now. The Ukraine-Russia thing is actually pushing the price down. I get that, but I'm here to tell you that uncertainty in the market is the worst thing that can happen to you. So right now everybody's calling for some kind of 20,000, 30,000 below explosive market. It's not gonna happen that fast. Unfortunately for you guys, it's not gonna. This is not a Corona dump, okay? This is not something like this over here. That's gonna go straight down and then recover towards the upside. I don't think we are gonna experience this kind of crash or anything like that because of this. I think it's gonna be slow move towards the downside, and that's why I'm not panicking or anything like that. If you go to the chart up here that we just drew, this expanding falling wedge, you can see that we did drop down. We only dropped down to the support levels on the downside. So let's see what's happening besides that. So before we start, I just want to say that you cannot say this is a black swan event or something like that, because it was already kind of expected something like this might happen. But they're using Ukraine-Russia FUD for everything it's worth, for what it's worth, to tell you that this is everything is going to zero, this is the end of times and stuff like that. You need to keep the calm. You need to understand that it's in these kind of moments that people actually making money, because every time something unexpected happen or expected happen but people don't realize it, what the first reaction is everything is going to zero. The second reaction is, okay, let's try to figure out what's going to happen. And the market needs a little bit time to figure out what's going to happen. They need to figure out what NATO is going to do. They need to figure out what Russia is going to do. They need to figure out the game plan. They need to figure out, what's going to happen. Just like when we had the Corona dump down here, I can show you. Just like when we had Corona dump, everything started going straight down because everybody thought like this is the end of times, pandemic and stuff like that. But the markets use a little bit time down here at the bottom, try to figure out, well, I mean, world is still gonna survive tomorrow, right? Okay, let's go back up again, right? So that's what I'm expecting right now. I'm expecting a lot of confusion, a lot of uncertainty, a lot of FUD, a lot of stuff to try to affect the price. But the market itself will adjust. They will figure out what's happened, and they will come through this. So we need to figure out, is this actually going to zero or not? We need to figure out, will the Bitcoin be here tomorrow or not, and stuff like that. And I think it's gonna be here tomorrow. I think everything's gonna be fine, but it is ugly crash towards downside. I mean, we've seen worse. We've seen definitely worse crashes right now on my chart over here. Like altcoins are minus 10 to 15%, but That happens all the time, especially in the bear markets, right? So it's kind of it's kind of bad move towards downside, but luckily for us we are still in this expanding wedge. The fact that we have actually gotten rejected by this expanding wedge on the upside and right now sitting on downside, I would say that the big problem, the big dump is gonna come once we break this trend line down here. This is the trend line to break. Once this trend line is broken on the downside, you might see some kind of pullback, some kind of a retest of the trend line as a resistance. Then we go below the previous low down here, and when that happens, it's it's the mayhem. I think that might be the capitulation capitulation dump on the downside, and that's what I'm fearing for the big dump. This 5% dump to move towards downside, 5-6% dump move towards downside, it's not that big of a deal, but because we have not broken certain very important levels of support, and this is one of these very important levels of support. Now if we fail, if we break this, we are breaking this structure over here. If we break the structure, especially these trend lines that go towards the downside, if you break these towards the downside, that's when we get these big dumps, but right now I'm totally calm, and I'm hoping that this can somehow hold it and maybe even bounce towards the upside, because you have to understand there are people right now that looking for the opportunities to buy long right now when everybody's bearish. And lately, like these last couple of days, I've seen a lot of people selling. I gotta admit to you, I've seen a lot of people selling. They're like, F this, I'm out of the market, I don't want to do this anymore, this is going to zero, blah blah blah, and that might be a good thing, because we need to push the price below the threshold of these weak paper hands holders, right? We gotta get everybody out of the market, we gotta have some kind of capitulation reset, and once that's done, it's gonna be fine. So you can see down here we are in this expanding wedge, we are on the bottom side. We'll pop some moving averages up on this baby up here and see how this actually looks. And you can see here yesterday we had a live stream as well down here. Once we breached the 10 and 20 moving average, we said this looks bad. Unless we can jump pump right back above the 10-20 moving average, this is more likely than not to go to the downside. Of course, that's what happens. We go to the downside, we got the hit this support on downside, and right now we are sitting down there. Let me show you a couple of more interesting indicators down here, and I'm gonna start with showing you the RSI. RSI right now sitting at 33. This is a daily RSI. So daily RSI 33 is pretty low, you can see down here. And every time you get to these kind of low levels, it doesn't mean that you are low, but if we for whatever reason start dumping in below the line that I just showed you, the expanding wedge on the downside, this might actually shoot below it, and we might get a pump towards the upside. So I'm not expecting any kind of big pump just now. I mean, I said that yesterday as well, but I can always be wrong. But if we go on the downside, you can see that we are pretty close to some kind of local bottom down here. Now this isn't what I actually want to show you. I'm gonna remove the RSI and the MACD up here, and I'm gonna show you the TLI overextended indicator. Now this indicator down here just showed you the overextensions towards downside or upside, and this is zero line, so below it's overextension towards downside, price moves towards the upside, and the other way it's overextension towards the upside. So you'll see down here that this goes all the way back to 2017. We can use the other chart, but these levels that we are at right now, they do not happen that often. I mean, you can count these times that we have been on the bottom. This is the Corona dump. This is actually not Corona dump. This is the 50% dump down here. They do not happen that often, but every time they do happen, it is some kind of a local low. Local low down here, local low down here. This was a big low. Now this continued on going downside, so definitely it can come here, like do something like this up here without actually getting a bounce. But it is important to know that we are at some kind of a local lows right now. Over here also it was a local low, right, where it pulled back. Over here a local low, and so forth. So right now we are at the same local low where we have been before, and that's what telling me right now to keep the head calm. Understand that there is a lot of FUD going on, and people like to do unrational things when there is a lot of FUD. The people are very emotional. There is a lot of emotion going on, with the war and stuff like that. The market's crashing, and people overreact or underreact. So keep the head calm. Look what we're having right now on the chart, and right now the only thing we have on the chart is this expanding wedge. This expanding wedge up here. We got a expanding, and right now we are holding the support. We are on the support level on downside, and I don't think anything is gonna happen anytime soon, because these moving averages needs to come back to us on the downside before we actually can drop further towards the downside. So we are, if we start going sideways up here, we might see the move towards the downside eventually, and there's a real probability that we might see a move towards the downside. But you know, it's not time to, you know, be very scared right now. Right now we need to watch what's gonna happen next. We need to watch this expanding channel. We need to watch these moving averages when they're coming down for us. If we for some reason manage to climb back on the moving averages and continue towards the upside, that might be a very good thing for Bitcoin, because we do not know how Bitcoin actually reacts during these kind of times. You know, we didn't have, you know, Bitcoin in 2008 during the, you know, major financial crisis. So, you know, how will it actually hold up? Do you know? I don't think anybody knows. Now, Bitcoin has been going on the downside forever, right? We know that, but that's because we just had a big rally towards the upside. You know, we had a bull market, and any kind of bull market needs correction. So this might be just, you know, normal correction in the bull market, powered by the FUD of Russia, Ukraine. But it does not mean that, you know, it is, you know, we are falling because of, you know, the Russia, the war, right? It doesn't mean that we are falling because of the war. We are falling because we are falling. We have been falling for a long time. I mean, nothing has technically changed. You know, we already knew we are going down. So, you know, the question is only how far down are we gonna go? That's the only question. But it's not because of the or because of the war. Let me just pull the line up here. See that, are we getting back? You can see also this is a triple support down here, exactly on the line. You can see this trend line up here that we have for ages down here. So you got this support line down here, right? You got the trend line down here, right? And you got this expanding channel down here as well. So everything right now is showing us this 35,000 level support, and it's only when we breach this 35 level support that we get, you know, into trouble, right? Into trouble. But you can see that the moving averages on the daily, they're quite, I mean, they're very, very above us. So, you know, it's gonna take a while for us to get back to those levels. Let me see up here. Yeah, it's gonna take a while to get back to those levels, and you know, nothing just dumps. You know, when stuff is dumping, you know, it always has some kind of pullbacks, and gets pushed by moving averages or consolidates down here and then drops on the downside. But nothing just dumps straight, you know, to zero. I mean, beside of course Moscow, you know, stock exchange index, like over here, where was it? You know, beside Moscow Stock Exchange Index, but even the Moscow Stock Exchange Index dumped down like 50% and pulled back, right? It had a pullback, it had a nice pullback. That's 26% pullback. Why? Because people understand that, you know, it's overreaction, right? You can see big pullback towards the upside. Now it's going down again, you know, but these pullbacks come because you are extended from the moving average. This is on a 1 hourly time frame, so it happens too fast. But even on the daily time frame, you can see here, like stock exchange is definitely too overextended on the downside. So I'm not worried just yet. You know, there is a lot of FUD going on. There is a lot of stuff going on. It does look bad. Can I tell you that it doesn't look bad? But you know, it's not time for panic just yet. We are fearful. I think fear index is right now pretty low. If it's not below 10, it should be below 10 next time it's updating. But you know, we are sitting down at support. The way I see it, we're sitting on support. We are extending from the moving averages. I don't think we're gonna breach 35,000 today. Maybe we go sideways up here and then breach on the downside. But you know, that's gonna take a while. Now, everything can happen in these kind of times, and tech analysis does not work that well when you have with black swan events, wars, you know, this kind of stuff to do. If you look, for example, if you look, for example, normal stock markets, right? Normal companies, Tesla, Amazon, right? They can go down, up and down like 20% in a day, like Tesla did, because you know some numbers come out and you know it shows that they are underperforming or overperforming, you know. So stock market is very volatile that way. You know, news do affect companies on the regular stock market very much, but Bitcoin is not, you know, affected by, you know, it's just, you know, it's a commodity. It's being mined. There is no profits out of it. You know, you're not getting any dividends. It's not being affected. You know, the mining is not being. I mean, mining can be affected. You know, if China goes in a total war and you know mining stops working and stuff like that. But you know, the mining of Bitcoin will still continue, right? So it's not affected in a way companies affected. So, you know, I'm not sure how this is actually gonna play. The only thing I know is right now we are sitting at 35 levels. We are sitting at the support. I'm waiting for some kind of bounce towards the upside again. So we're gonna see if that actually comes. I'm not quite sure that we, you know, Bitcoin is gonna, you know, continue dropping on the downside. Now it can do that because there is a lot of emotion and a lot of FUD going on. So definitely look for the downside. But if we cross the 35, you know, if you cross the Rubicon on 35,000, if you cross on the downside down here and close below 35,000, that's when the problems actually are gonna start arising. But right now we are sitting on support, all good, all dandy, and stuff like that. Anyways, guys, we're gonna try to have maybe some live streams today. Tomorrow we're gonna see that, you know, try to figure out what's happening with Ukraine, Russia, you know, and NATO, and you know, what's the next steps in this madness are. But you know, so subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, and all of that shebang. That said, thanks for watching the video. See you tomorrow, same time, same place. Bye bye.